Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fireside Fitness, a place for real conversations with the people who are shaping the fitness industry today. I'm Rochelle Volk, your host, and today we're talking about building a gym from scratch, scaling with a successful franchise model, and unpacking what's really happening behind the scenes of building a successful fitness business. I'm joined by James Calderbank, who founded Transformation Hub in 2018 to help people age 35 and over transform their health, confidence, and energy and achieve real, lasting results. What started as a single transformation-focused gym quickly evolved into a movement and fast-growing franchise model, with more than 40 plus signed franchises across the UK. Now, his goal is to bring 100 locations to communities across the UK by 2028, helping people in their midlife feel fitter, stronger, healthier, and more confident. All that sounds awesome. Welcome, James.
Let's dive in. Well, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So I want to just kind of take it back to the very beginning of your journey here. You obviously started out as a personal trainer. So at what
Yeah.
point in your training career, how many years in, was that kind of turning point where you realized that you want to move beyond just that maybe one-to-one or small group coaching and really build your own gym?
Yeah, sure. So God, I think I started well back in 2012 now, I think it was. So it's very, very different. I think social media, like Instagram was just like coming up then. And I think this was well before Meta. It was like just Facebook at the time, no Instagram. Back in there, I wasn't one of the it was like back when all the OG like sort of influencers were just starting up and things like that. So uh, all the years previously to having all that, I was basically a PT walking the gym floor. I think I spent probably 5 years building up to about 30, 40 clients, something like that, and really getting to know members and gaining the skill of relationship building. So that it was a great time. I learned so much. I had some amazing PTs I learned from. Traveled the world learning from some of the best coaches, and still do that to this day now, really. But essentially, what happened was I started to realize that I wasn't really growing anymore as a business. So I was like basically a self-employed PT, and my time was just like really limited, and all I could do was work more hours, which I couldn't because as a PT will understand listening to this, or it's been one, it's like you've got your blocks of clients early in the morning. You might have a few mid-morning, like the mums and stuff that come in, and then the evening will be full. And then you've got them spaces throughout the day where you're doing like admin, doing your own training. So you'd be in the gym if you're busy 12 to 14 hours a day. And I realized that I could either charge more or do more hours. And yeah, I could have probably charged a bit more, but it was just starting to get to a point where I've just saturated my own time. And I, out of need for my own health and life more than anything, I moved all my clients into small groups. And essentially, there's a bit more to it than that, but I essentially got more time back, reduced the cost per hour per client, but also it gave me a lot more space to think about potentially growing the business and what I want to do next. And then, cut a long story short, yeah, it just went from there really. I started doing transformation challenges in the gym because as the small groups, like I think I was doing like 4 or 5 at the time, people in one group, as they started to that's the best way to put it. As they started to churn some of the clients, which you do, and I think that's an amazing lesson you can learn is that churn's fine with an acceptable level, but you've got to have enough people coming to replace it. So that was a big lesson there. So I started to launch internal challenges and doing large groups, and then I'd upsell them into smaller groups to keep them full. It wasn't as simple as that. It was out of desperate need because I didn't realize I needed to do that at the time. So it's not as clean because it sounds. So yeah, and basically from starting those, it just got really big, and I had to start getting other coaches that were working there. I was subcontracting them, paying them to some hours, and it was just natural evolution. And then I ended up opening my first site off the back of that in 2018.
Awesome. Yeah. And small group training is still a pretty big part of what you do today, right? Is that with the current Transform Hub locations?
No, we do like groups of like 20 to
Oh,
24 right
okay.
now. Some sites like 30, yeah. So we were keeping it separate. We're doing like a large group. Like I don't know why we did it like this at the time, but we do the large group for the challenge, and then we'd sell them into the smaller groups. But in the end, we just amalgamated it all together, and
Okay.
yeah, it was a lot more simple. But yeah, so we do groups of up to like 20 people now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. So
maybe a
maybe
bit
not
more
small
in some
groups, but
cases.
Still that group
Yeah,
kind of community piece seems to be really at the heart, and
correct.
what I'm seeing across all of your guys's your marketing, your website, your social is really that
Absolutely.
community heart. And yeah. Why do
Yeah.
you think that's so important? And how do you think that's really shaped your success as you've grown your franchise? Is that group training aspect?
I think people need to be surrounded by other people that are trying to achieve the same things as them. It's consistency in an environment that they need. It's like because motivation's going to come and go all the time. And what we do know is that I've learned this as a business owner, the more I surround myself with successful business owners, the quicker I've grown myself. So by bringing that client into that group experience, they don't feel isolated, and that pressure actually comes off the coach more because you're growing such a good culture that it's propping the new clients up that are coming through. So it becomes bigger than just one coach, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's less
And
of you having to motivate them, and they can motivate each other.
yeah, exactly. And it's and then when someone's having a down day, which we all do, there's their friends that have been there and gone through that experience that are there to help them. And I'm not saying it's we do it because we don't want to work as coaches, but it allows us to be even better coaches now, coaches across the whole of our network. Um, to inspire more people to come on board and make sure the spare time they've got, they get an education, learning how to coach better, or they're just ringing and checking in with the clients rather than firefighting and just dealing with too much emotions all the time, which can drag them away from being amazing coaches sometimes, I think.
Yeah, if you're standing there being a cheerleader constantly, you sometimes overlook those more nuanced coaching aspects, I think, and even, checking on form and preventing injuries. It's easy to get lost if you're kind of just walking around the room trying to attend to everybody's needs at the same time, right?
Yeah, there's got to be a process and system to it, and that's what we found is that even with that group community setting, at what point does someone get reached out to, or like a trainer eyes if someone's not hitting the habits, like at what point do they need that phone call? Whereas if you haven't got any of that infrastructure, you can't manage that at scale. And I think that the reason why we've grown so well is because we've taken that sort of what would be a local group train studio feel, but we've really professionalized it and put the systems in, so people don't need to go through all that guesswork. And any business you set up is going to be really hard to do regardless. So you might as well make it easier and just having those systems ready to plug in. And it just means that less clients slip through the net and, more people get results and more helped.
And we're going to talk more about your systems in just a moment here because I definitely
Yeah,
want to dive a little bit deeper into that and what these
sure.
structures are that you put in place. But I want to take it back for a second just to that beginning, that transition that you made from PT to gym owner, because I think there is a lot of personal trainers who, like you, they're kind of sick of trading their time for money, and whether they decide to do the online coaching route where they're going kind of out of one-on-one training completely and they're just going online, or they're taking the route that you took to open your own space and be able to host more clients and bigger groups. What were the biggest challenges in that transition for you when you were just making that shift from PT to entrepreneur, gym owner?
Everything was a challenge.
Yeah,
Literally everything. I
appreciate the
think,
honesty.
yeah, yeah, and it still is this day. Like everything, any new problem that comes up is always a challenge until you know how to solve it, right? Um, but I think essentially, if I look back, what was it, 7 years ago now, 7 or 8 years ago, actually feeling isolated out of being in like a big commercial gym with 3, 4, 5,000 people that are members in there to I remember it was March the 18th, 2018 that I opened the first hub, and it was in this little unit. It was freezing. I thought all my clients would come over me. Not many did. Um, I had one of my clients, Wendy, who's still a part shareholder with us. Uh, Long story. She was over me, and we were like, I'm literally going, oh my God, these people believe me. I'm going, what have I done here? Like that was these like my thoughts and feelings, and it was just getting used to going, I'm on my own now. Like you're not around that network of other people, and just feeling really. I think it was very uncomfortable and a bit lonely, really, going off on your own and not having people to lean on. So I was very lucky to be around some really great coaches where I was, and yeah, and then just growing the member base and starting to track at scale because we were getting a lot of people through the door. I was used to having a really close knit of like sort of 30 to 40 people I knew well. Then all of a sudden, I had to learn customer support, and I was doing customer support. I had to learn marketing. I was doing all the marketing. I was doing all these roles that I've never done before, and then it was disorganized and just trying to find my feet, really. Yeah, I can't say there's one specific thing that was really challenging because it was all really challenging.
Yeah, it's like that movie,
Um,
Everything Everywhere All at Once, right? You're just thrown in
I
the
think
deep
I
end.
think as a PT, you can feel like you are a business owner, but you're essentially working, you're employed by yourself, and you don't have to worry about too many people. But then when you start to scale up, like people really want the growth and they want sales and everything, but they actually realize that's the easy bit, and actually managing it and doing a good job for the clients at scale is really difficult. Yeah, I'd say that's probably was the biggest challenge, is how to manage that many people and how to manage staff, how to train staff. Um, yeah, it was a difficult but great period and exciting at the same time.
So at what point is that kind of shift or maybe that breaking point where you realize, okay, like shit, I can't handle this alone. I need to either hire a team or build a system. What, I guess, was that turning point? And then how did you go about taking that first step to start building the systems that I'm sure that your systems today, although they have evolved, kind of built upon that foundation?
So essentially what happened was I I started to delegate the coaching out more at the start, because that was I think that was probably actually was the biggest challenge across the first year, is when we delegate out to coaching, it couldn't be done to the standard I was trained to. It really flagged up my knowledge that was here, and it's very hard to communicate all that knowledge. So it's like which bits of what I was doing was the right thing for the client. Whereas what I probably should have done is delegate admin stuff out and payment processing, if there's refunds, contracts, and any queries coming in. Like that probably should have been first. But I wanted to get out of that, because I'd been doing 12, 14-hour days of coaching for 7 years. Actually being able to just work from home first thing in the morning on my laptop and not be there was just a bit of a game changer for my own headspace. But I went too one way and didn't do enough training at the start, I'd say.
I think
Um,
that's a huge thing, and I want like people who are listening to this to really hear that piece of advice specifically because I think that's really the hardest shift when you go from being the trainer,
mhm.
the coach, to having to step away from what you, for all intents and purposes, enjoy the most, which is helping people, working with people, coaching them. But you have to take that step out and either delegate to somebody else so that you can actually have that time to build your business. And that's probably the hardest thing, right? Because you want to be there on
and
the ground, but it's so important that you do that.
yeah, and if you've never done it before, you have to just start, and you're going to make some mistakes. And as long as you learn from them really fast and then once only, you're going to keep getting punched in the face with the same lessons hard until you learn it. And we could be so much further ahead. Hindsight's a great thing, but if I just really put so much attention onto making my staff as able, not I'm not expecting them to get 8 years experience like I had at the time that quick, but just the very basics. And it doesn't take as much time as you think. So, I think the lesson is like when you get someone new in, spend as much time as you can with them for 90 days and then just slowly like tick it off. It doesn't have to be a perfect system, but they've got to know your way.
Yeah. Minimum viable product, right? Same as if you were launching a
Yeah,
product business. Get them to the standard where you're like, okay, that's good enough. Maybe it's not perfect. Maybe it's not exactly how you would do
yeah,
everything, but it's good enough to keep things running while you focus on growing other areas, right? So
exactly.
let's fast forward a little bit. Now, at this point, is it 40 plus still, or is that 40 plus locations or sites that have been signed in the
So
UK?
yes, we've got 44 secure territories in the UK.
Okay.
I think 35 have actually got physical locations. 27 of them are open, but we've got, I think it was like 8 about to open in the next couple of months. They've got the keys, it's been built, or they're on the verge of opening. So yeah, the ratio of signed territories to actually brick and mortar units is really high, which is good.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, so no, it's that's I think yeah, 27 open, and yeah, eight another 8 that are probably going to be open in the next couple of months. Yeah.
Well, that's huge. First of all, congratulations. That's amazing
Thank
to
you.
see how everything has progressed. But going from, you opened your first one in 2018, your own
Yeah.
personal site, right? So then when did you start franchising and what did that growth look like over, I guess that's 8 years now, right?
So we got to just before lockdown. God, I hate saying that word.
I know. I know.
I got shivers through my body.
We just collectively block that out.
We were literally just about to open our third site just before lockdown. So what was that? 2000. When did that happen now? What year it was?
2020?
Yeah, was it March 2020? Yeah, so
Yeah.
we'd have
Yeah,
been
that's when it
open
started.
about two and a half years, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, and we'd really dominated our area at the time. There wasn't a lot of competition. Like we were probably one of the first people in the area to be doing anything similar to that. Um, and then yeah, lockdown hit us. So that was crazy. But we got through it and we had amazing community again. It always comes back down to the community. A lot of members kept supporting us with delivering Zoom classes online, sending resistance bands out, or like most gyms did at
Oh,
the time.
I remember the Zoom
Um,
classes very well. Yes.
yeah, and then one of our clients towards the end of lockdown, he basically said, I want to transform Hub," and we're like, we thought about franchising. It had been just been in discussion, nothing serious. So it just ended up becoming serious. So for 6 months, because we got a sense that lockdown would come to an end. There was no guarantees, but do you remember, you could feel it winding up, and all the vaccines were coming out and all that sorts of stuff. So I just remember being sat on the office floor in one of our sites and just started mapping out how we do things, processes, and then we put the site on the trial run for 6 months once we launched. Once we came out of lockdown, and then that launched really well. I think we got 60, 70 members in 4 weeks signed up for that over the phone.
That's awesome.
And it went from there. And then it's going more and more. Like, just look at some of the stats now. Like, it's ramped up quite a bit in the past 2 years, but we've averaged 8 sites a year open the past couple of years. So yeah, just get momentum, and we're just, as we're growing now, the system is getting better for onboarding training. Like, this is again, new level, new devil, right? So you've got the system, but then there's a system of how to train the system, and then you got a system of how to make sure the system's being taught about the system. So it's just like new step at each point. So the bigger and better and the more equipped team we get, the faster we can open more sites. And I think we're on a pretty good balance from capability to the amount we're opening, because we don't want to lose that quality.
Yeah, I did take a little bit of a look into just kind of how the franchise system works, how you set up, what's included with all of it, and how hands-on would you say that you are now with the franchise owners? Like, are you visiting all these sites regularly, or are they operating quite independently now? Like, how does that overseeing it all for you personally kind of look?
That's a really good question, actually. I'd say, I mean, because I've got such good relationships with most of them. Um, I mean, I would say I'm just in chats with them because I want to know how they're doing and how well they're doing. But it, as a summary, we have a franchise manager team, we have a launch team that are managing and keep on top of the stats. So I'm looking at the high level data, and I'm just more mentoring my staff to be able to do that. Which is always going to be an ongoing thing. So that's where I try and put most of my time. But I still do like bi-weekly calls in groups with them and things, because I like to feel in tune with it. But I like to think I'm like a butterfly, just floating around a few things and just touching base on it,
Yeah.
just landing, just keeping a feel for it, and just moving around to the little different pieces. And I think when people say delegate and step out, they mean I'm never going to look at that again. And I've done that before as well, and that doesn't work well either.
Yeah.
So I think just keep on top of them little bits and just looking. But on the whole, we've got an amazing team that's fulfilling the 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 delivery and the coaching for sure. That never stops.
And when you look at your franchise owners that you have now, all 40 or almost, I guess, 45 of them, you said 45, I think, right? Um,
So there's 30 odd franchisees, but some have
oh,
got multi sites. Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Just so you're clear. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So when you look at them and you look at that group, I actually saw you were doing some kind of like, you've done like lunches with them, or you've done kind of like events where you bring together the top franchisees and things like that. And when you're gathering those people in a room and you're looking at the people that are the most successful people that have opened the franchises so far. What do you think is that differentiator that you're seeing even among the group that you have assembled there?
They're really good leaders, and they'll just get stuck in, and they're consistent. Like we've had some very able people, but inconsistent. And you've got some people that have come from an average background, no management or leadership experience, and are now high performers. Like Sean, our brother on site, and he owns the Doncaster sites, his multi sites. He's a top performing franchise, and because he's been so consistent and worked so hard, I think that trumps everything. And I think the biggest thing is he really gives a shit. Sorry if I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on the
No, please
podcast or
do.
not.
Yeah.
He really cares and gives a shit about the client. And ultimately, you can sell, but your legacy long term, I really believe, will come on how much someone actually cares about that client getting the experience and the journey they need. So leadership, consistent work, really hard work ethic, and the care for the clients, all those are the core three things for any business owner, I believe.
Yeah, I think a lot of business owners, especially, I don't know, we're sold this vision, I think, as entrepreneurs and business owners a lot, where it's like, okay, you're going to create this business, it's going to be so successful, and then you're going to step away and you're going to go on vacation, go to Mexico, go travel the world while your business just runs on its own, it's passive income, whatever, right? And
And when I made that mistake, that's why I
okay,
went to Mexico.
tell me about that.
So,
Tell me about it. Yeah.
yeah, sorry, I was putting in there,
No,
but it
and
was
what
just
happened to the business? Because I think that's a great lesson. Is like, you can, yes, you should be able to step away and take time. Obviously enjoy
I,
everything you've built, enjoy,
I can't
relax.
believe I can't believe I forgot to actually tell you. But yeah, this was probably the hardest bit. In my first 6 months of owning the business, I taken on a coach, and I went away for 10 days, maybe 2 weeks to Mexico, to Cancun. Great holiday. Came back,
Amazing.
and half the clients had left, and he'd set up in the unit next door to me within 2 weeks. And yeah, I know, right? Um,
And what happened? Like, just the coach, like something happened with the coach, or was it just, yeah, like what was
no,
the
he'd just
cause
been
of that?
planning it. He'd just taken the clients, offered them a cheaper rate, and moved next door. And but from a responsibility point of view, yeah, it might not be my fault, but I gave that person too much control, and it was about them, not about a system. And that's why, yeah, that you've got to have amazing individuals working for you. But if you just have a good coach in that's doing it their way, that's not a repeatable process. And I wasn't leading the team well enough. Like the clients weren't bought in to the whole, they were bought into that person more. Um, and they obviously the coach didn't have as much respect for me because I wasn't there and putting my time in with them. Now, I'm not saying that if I had, it would have gone a different way. I don't know, but
Hmm.
that's what I do know is that you still have to be present and lead, and they've got to respect you, and that's always keeping standards high and keeping an eye on everything, not just going, oh yeah, you do it, delegated. I actually genuinely believe like delegating's harder than not in some cases, but the longer term play pays off more.
And I assume that we've grown to a point now, between having a strong team and having better systems, that you can hopefully now take vacations every so often. Hoping that you are, um, at least.
Yeah, well, Katie, my partner, would say different, but yeah, that would be nice. But no, it's getting big. As it's getting bigger,
Yeah.
my time's not really coming by that much yet, but it will do. But I love it, so I want to be here.
Yeah, you're obviously in a period of rapid growth, but I think it is important
Yeah.
too. And I know I've heard you talk about this on your own podcast before about the mental health of owning a business. You talked about some of your challenges early on in the conversation, but that you have ADHD,
Yeah, yeah.
and I
Yeah,
only share.
yeah,
I do as well. So that's why
fine.
I, if you don't mind going there, I would love to just like share a little bit about that and how you kind of like help protect your mental health as you're running the business. Because I think, especially when we have people with ADHD, very prone to working really hard, moving very fast, and then burning out very quickly. So how do you put those, I guess, systems in place for your own life to ensure that you can keep performing at such a high level and ensure that Transform Hub can keep scaling without you burning out?
That's a really good question. So I think firstly accepting that I will burn out and just go, that's cool. That's just, and I think taking the meaning off it helps. I think you can put and I still do it myself now. Like the ADHD, it can be the biggest gift and superpower, but we're very hypersensitive to understanding of things and emotions and other people's energies and things like that. And you're always on alert, and you're always looking for answers and solutions, and your mind works in that way. So it's very hard to when someone says just switch off, like that your mind is never going to switch off if you've got ADHD. And I don't know what switch off means. I don't know what someone else's mind's even like that can switch off. I don't know what it means. Um,
I
I
wish I
see it
did.
as more I see it as more committed more than switch than anything. I don't want to switch off from it.
Mhm.
However, um, I when I'm under a lot of high pressure and stress, which is a lot of the time, I have to manage my training. Like you can't do everything, and if you want it, like I love training, working out, pushing hard, lifting a lot of weight, and excelling in that area. But the past years, I simply can't have done that because my body was just that my nervous system's been pushed into levels, and that does burn you out. So it's going look 3 or 4 times a week consistently at 70% of your maxes, and not pushing your body to its limit. If it's been pushed in one way, you can't do it in two ways. You'll just tank even quicker. And then you've just got to give yourself that time. Like I don't think people need month holidays. They just need regular couple of days. Go and get some like massage, get rid of that head tension you've got, and you feel fresh again after. Once you start feeling that pressure cooker coming up, so it's like you can't actually focus on anything. You just need to back off, let the steam off for a few days, and then come back at it again. You'll bounce back, and yeah, just and not putting too much meat on it. It's just going right. It's cool. That's me. And you just got to make sure you get enough sleep, which is hard with ADHD as well. But yeah, you just got to be strict to, you got. It's like you're driving Ferrari. It's like driving Ferrari around. And the brain's the engine. Uh, Hypothetically speaking, but you're in gear one and two all the time, and it's it's going to need to be oiled and serviced a lot more because it is working faster. So that works really well when the ideas and the creation stuff happening. But this is a good point actually. I find my burnout comes quicker when I then got organized and keep on top of all the stuff made and created. You need a team to help you with that. So if you're like, I think if you're earlier on in your journey, not everyone wants to be a owner with load of gyms. I don't blame them. I wish I could be happy without doing that. Um,
Yeah.
and but it's like, look, you've got if you're working for yourself and you're not very organized, but you're a great coach, take on a VA to help you with the admin tasks and just keep on top of your diary for you, and you'll make more money because of it because you you'll probably be better at sales and coaching than you will be at admin. So that frees your time up to have more energy to give to someone that needs your help.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you're actually doing it. I think your clients a disservice by not getting help in that sense.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, first of all, for being so open and willing to share about that because
Sure.
I feel like, especially in both, well, the entrepreneur world in general, and then also in fitness, I feel like those two things really do attract a lot of people that have ADHD because we're so
Mm.
good at coaching in those things and building things because all the ideas brains always turned on, right? So I think that will resonate with a lot of people in the industry, first of all, but then also thank you for normalizing the burnout and saying, I think burnout gets this thing nowadays where it's so stigmatized. Everyone's like, oh, I need to protect my peace, set my boundaries, and burnout's just like this thing to avoid at all costs. But like you said, just taking some of the weight off of it and just saying, hey, this is actually quite a normal part of business. We're going to go through burnouts maybe a couple times a year, a couple times a month, and that's just
And
your
yeah,
rebound.
I don't know any successful business owners that that act like Buddhas that try and like it's stressful. It's gonna be tough, and that's why not
Yeah.
many people do well with it because it is tough. It's really hard. Um, and I think as well, is it burnout or is stuff piling up that much because you're not dealing with it
Yeah.
is a big point. That when that indecision comes, you could like I have to do a to deal with list every day that's in here. That's might be people or it might be tasks that I've been procrastinating putting off, and just get the heavier stuff done. Like
Yeah.
I can go from feeling burnt out to doing a to deal with list to feeling like I've had a week off. in hours.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes I think it's weight of things you're not doing. So you have to learn how to manage your tasks and yourself personally with that from that front as well.
Absolutely. And then just to take it kind of to, I think people who are just hearing your journey and seeing what you're doing and building with Transform Hub and being inspired, do you think that if you were to advise, let's say a gym owner comes to you or a personal trainer, let's say, comes to you and they either want to start their own gym or maybe they want to franchise Transform Hub, I guess what is the thing that you would tell them to focus on in the next 6 to 12 months? And if they were interested in pursuing that more ownership or stepping into that ownership
Mm,
role?
yeah. So focus on value. Like when I say value, everyone says, "I'll just charge what you're worth," right? Actually give value. So what pick your niche and what you're trying to help someone achieve. So for us, it's 35, 65-year-olds. Our average age range is 49 to 50, roughly. So we know who we're talking to, what they're going to need, and how we can help them more. That's going to create more value because we're getting more niche. So I'm not saying you have to do that, but find out who your avatar client is and how can you make the best experience for them and charge more and deliver the better service because costs are going up, like in the world, advertising's going up. Literally every man and his dog's a personal trainer now. If you're just trying to compete on price, um, it's just a race bottom. You will fail at it. We had to double our prices a few years ago to keep relevant. I don't genuinely don't think we'd be here now if it wasn't for that. Um, I never say never, but I couldn't see another way around it, right? And charge more and have less people. You've got less stress. You've got more committed clients who, if it's more painful for them to part with that money, they're more likely to stick to it as well. And yeah, I think you'll feel more valued, and you'll be able to help more people. Don't if you're like a PT or an online coach or it's all the same. It's no different if it's brick and mortar, in person, online. It's just about making sure the client you're actually helping them get what they want. Just listen to what they're saying and provide an outcome for them and show them that hope because they've been let down by everyone else probably, or they've not. But then they have a good coach that's inconsistent. Just be consistent and do things quicker than you say you're going to do it, and that'll beat 99% of coaches if you want to do well. Is what I've learned.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Just
great.
follow through with what you say you're going to do.
Follow through and consistency. It's the same as with
Yeah,
fitness, right? Stick to the
yeah.
plan, have a
And
plan.
be honest, like if someone says, like like cheerleading coach, and oh yeah, he's smashing it. What he's smashing, and like what is it they're doing well in? Like, this is not a product placement. Generally, like this is in our system. Like in trainer eyes, like we'll see someone that's attending 3 workouts a week, but the goal's to lose a stone. They've lost 2 pounds, and they're not tracking the food. We'd literally go, hey, look, Miss Jones, you said that you want to achieve X, Y, and Z. Currently not on track to do that. Like, what can we do to help? Can we book you in for a 15-minute meeting and you next come in after your next session? And don't just try and make them feel good because you're not helping them at all. And try and coach them out of that rut they're in, and that's what you're there to do. And to be a good friend to someone, you have to tell them the truth.
Yeah, well, I know that candor is one of the
Mm.
values that you have
Yeah,
on your page, and I think it is important because you're right. You can cheer them on all day long, but if they're not actually making progress at the end of the day, then are they really getting the benefit from the coaching, right?
yeah. Radical accountability, extreme candor, and day one energy.
I love
That's
that.
it. That's our company values. Ride or
And
die.
and great values to have. So
Yeah.
perfect. Where I want to kind of end off, because I think this is a great place. I mean, obviously, this is one source of advice and guidance is listening to this podcast. But I want to talk a little bit about mentorship because I know that you are very big on both mentorship in your own life. You've worked with like Alex Hormozy and just kind of going back in the archives on your social media a little bit. But I know that's one of the things that you give as part of your franchise model too. Is when somebody signs on to start a franchise, that mentorship part is a piece of that's included with the package. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
So
So
what does that
we,
mean, and why is it so important? Do you think when you are at that that new stage in your journey where you're going to take that role into gym ownership? Why do you think it's so important?
Because what I realize is that you can give everyone something, all the information they can ever need, and they still won't action it. Like that's why we used to really worry about the info we gave out to potential new franchise and things like because they might steal it, another gym owner might do it, and there's having the info and there's one thing executed, it's two different things. So the mentorship just keeps like people's emotions are up and down. You've someone a new franchise that's coming in that's put the life savings in is going to be a lot more stressed than someone that's on 200 members and coasting is the wrong word because they all work hard, but they understand it, they know what to expect. So everyone's in a different stage of journey, and a good coach just you can't solve everything for them. You just nudge them in the right direction, let them make a few mistakes, but show them how they learn it, and just keep them level. And that's a job of a good coach is just to say, look, you're on track, you're not. Like you might have had run three consultations you didn't sell, and you might feel like you're rubbish at selling, but the six before that you might have sold, and it's just average. It's like, no, on the whole, you're doing great. And it's just little nudges like that and keeping them, I wouldn't say motivated's the word, it's keeping them just consistent and them understanding. And by helping keeping them consistent, the motivation just comes itself. You don't have to try and G them up. It just happens because you're just talking about it and setting small one or two actions every 2 weeks. That's all it needs. Like it doesn't once someone's trained up at a basic level, and the same for a client track just starting out on the nutrition journey or the fitness journey, they just need one or two easy actions a week that's going to give them the biggest result. And like over time, if you just do one a week, you got 52 new things you've done really well over a year. Whereas I think a lot of coaches or they'll try and give someone 10 things to do at once, and then one of them might get done okay because they get overwhelmed. But if you give them one or two, they'll probably do them really well.
Yeah.
And that's as a business owner, you need that security and someone to lean on, which I didn't have when I started as a gym owner.
Yeah, no, it's and like you said, just zooming out sometimes and seeing that bigger picture where they can see the bigger trends. It's the same as when you show clients their nutrition graphs or their, those
Hmm.
data points over time where they maybe feel
Yeah.
in the moment that they're stressed, they're failing, but you're like, hey, look how much progress you've actually made when we take a look at the bigger picture and the trends,
Hmm.
right? So, yeah, awesome. Well, James, I think this has been great. One last question for you before we kind of close things off here. I guess well, it's kind of a twofold question, but what excites you most about the future of the fitness industry? And then what are you most excited for specifically about the future of Transform Hub? So, industry as a whole, and then what you're building. Maybe it's together.
I'm going to say something a bit more controversial here, but we're actually really excited for all the sort of like weight loss medications like GLP-1 coming around.
Okay, tell me
And
about that because that is a
everyone's
hot
gonna
take.
go, everyone's gonna go, oh my gosh, like it's like everyone's got their own opinion on it, right? But that is the way it's gonna go. And no matter how many coaches complain about it, we have got to adapt because that's the way psychology works. People want results quicker. But what I think we'll really realize, and this is actually what I'm excited about, is that people are realizing that just losing weight's still not making them happy. And we've seen it, like we get it all the time, yeah, I'm taking jobs. It's not actually made that much difference to our sales because you've got to adapt to times and help people through that. And we're building a system now and an education piece to actually help people that do it. Now, I'm actually not against doing it either, right? If someone really struggles with emotional eating and things like that, and they've got their own reasons, and that's the only way they're ever going to do it, I think they couldn't do it without it, then, and it's going to extend the life, then why the hell not? Like, it's each their own, and whatever the long term, you know, um, outcomes are and health scares, whatever, it's probably still going to be better than being obese, right? So all we can do is go, look, I'm not saying we're pushing it and promoting it, but if someone is on it, like we can really help them with that. And I'm excited that we can actually change the the view on the industry on it and actually support people on it really more than anything. So that excites us from where the industry's going. And I think what excites me the most about where Transform goes in general is that we're just really proud that we can keep changing local communities and helping, as well as the clients. Obviously, they're the core of our product, but we can actually help people that want to own their own gym and which have highly likely chances that it won't succeed if they do it on their own, like luck or fortunate, whatever you want to call it, hard work. We managed to do it, and the fact that we can give that plug and play model of training and hard work and that opportunity to people is amazing because they're going to be so fulfilled. They're going to be helping so many people, and it's just growing and growing and growing. So yeah, we're hoping to be helping 100 sites by 28. So let's see if we get there.
I have no doubt that you will get there. I'm rooting for you. We're all rooting for you over here.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So yeah, before you head out here, where can we find you? Where can we keep up with you? Plug your social medias, all the things. We can follow that journey and see if you hit those 100.
Yeah, sure. So website transformhubfranchise.co.uk. If you want to follow us on Instagram, Transform Franchise. If you want to follow us on Facebook, Transform Franchise. If you want to follow me directly, I've got LinkedIn, James Calderbank, and I've also got my own personal Instagram profile, James Calderbank. And yeah, I think they're the main channels we're on right now.
Great. Thanks you so much, James. And thank you everybody for tuning in today. Follow us at ABC Fitness for more conversations like this and let us know when you want to see next. Thank you so much.